There are currently 48 states and D.C. that have ordered or recommended school closures for the rest of the academic year, affecting more than 55 million students. Just this past week, the California Department of Education released a 62-page guidebook with 4 different models for instruction. But what do these new guidelines mean for the rest of the country? Will classrooms ever be the same again? Joining me now from our bureau in New York City, Principal of Aronian Education Design, LLC, Dr. Karen Aronian, EDD. Hi, Karen. Welcome to the program. First off, I've spoken with a lot of parents, a lot of tired moms who just say they can't take it anymore. They are itching for schools to reopen so they can get back to work. We are very happy to see some states that are reopening and at great lengths. With that said, Karen, is it possible to see some schools reopening this fall?
Absolutely. We are right on track to open this fall. Within actually August, we are seeing that most states are ramping up to open in August. They need to have leadway time to get students on board and to, get their protocols underway. So most states will be ramping up to open early.
Now, you say some schools are listening to Dr. Fauci's recent statement that the decision to reopen schools needs to be predicated on the level of infection in each community. Now, we do know kids are less susceptible to catching coronavirus, but not exempt. Walk us through what adjustments that would need to take place in order to make this happen.
Well, we're looking at 3 things, certainly. We're looking at safety, we're looking at health, we're looking at adaptability. And it is no one size fits all in any location. So with all states and with all districts, we're looking for information that's flowing from, obviously, the White House, from the CDC, from our governors, and from our local health officials. And that will inform how each district goes forward.
Right. And given that some public schools are less resourced than others, do you believe schools are well equipped to handle something like this, especially ones that are densely populated? Is this something that we could actually pull off? What's your insight?
Well, going forward, as you mentioned, with some school districts densely populated, such as New York City, and of course, California being a very large district, we are looking at different models of how school students will go back. For instance, we know that they're looking at a staggered schedule in New York City. We're looking at phasing in, which is more or less having younger students come in first and lay the groundwork there. And while that's going well, we'll turn it up and bring in older students. And we're looking at bubble systems as well. And that is something that we've seen in Denmark, where they brought back students and they kept them in these very small clusters, these groups that were able to go throughout the day that way. And the teacher would be in the classroom, and when they had electives or another subject, the teacher would go around to those classrooms, to those small cohorts in order to teach.
Rotating the teachers, it seems like a very possible thing to do. Lastly, what are the downfalls if we don't rush these kids back to school? I assume there must be elements of perhaps, I don't know, social anxiety from being away from friends. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We are looking at many things with regard to not getting them back to school. We need them back in school because school is the best place for our kids, right? We know as parents that they're getting that social emotional need met, and we know that they're getting their academic growth happening. And right now, those are, chief issues that are scaled back day to day. We already know that we're back at least 70% right now. We're looking at the reading not going forward, and 50% loss with math. So as soon as we can get them back into schools, it's going to be to everyone's advantage. And of course, parents need to get back to work, so we need our kids in school.
Brilliant insight there. Thank you so much for your insight, Karen. Appreciate it.